Hi, everyone. David Aragona here with Scott Shapiro, who we're happy to have joining us on the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel. And Scott, we just did a video about the Monmouth Cup, which had a heavy favorite, kind of a tough race to make cases against that horse just a touch. But here we're going to talk about the Grade 2 Honorable Miss, which is the DRF Sunday race of the day, and a way more intriguing race to handicap here. 9 fillies entered to sprint the 6 furlong distance at Saratoga, and there's some real quality in this group.
There is. This is a very fun race to handicap. Good quality in terms of a grade 2 without question. Should be at least depending on how you look at it, at the very least, an honest pace for all. So, yeah, looking forward to diving in and maybe a little bit more creative here, although not super creative.
Yeah, I would think it's going to be an honest pace, but I do believe, as we take a look at the Timeform US pace projector, that if they want to go forward with the number 2 R Disaster and secure the front end, they're going to be able to do so because she's got a ton of early speed, and she's been in some races with some pretty fast rivals, so she hasn't made the lead in all of her recent starts. But in this spot, she's got 2 Phil Bauer horses flanking her on this pace projector, and Scott, it's not like either one of those really needs the lead to be successful.
No, I agree with that. Helena's forte coming off a couple of spots where she wasn't on the lead, where she probably could have been. And then you add to the fact that it's Jose Ortiz, Irad Ortiz or Junior riding inside. I don't see him getting aggressive in this spot for a couple of different reasons. And I don't think the 6 horse in here, Little Prankster, is necessarily fast enough. So I think you're right. Our Disaster, if she wants it, she certainly should have the lead.
With this being the DRF Sunday race of the day, you can get free past performances for this race. Just create a free account at DRF.com, head on over to that race of the day page, and you can access free past performances, classic, formulator, and Timeform US for this and every single race of the day. Let's go through this field from the rail out, beginning with one of those Phil Bauer trainees, the number 1, Helena's Forte. And she's run some pretty nice races during her career, got good during her 3-year-old season, went to the sidelines following a solid effort in the stakes at Mahoning Valley last year, came off the layoff last time at Prairie Meadows, and she lost at 4-5, Scott. But when I watched that race back, I actually thought she ran a little better than the 76 buyer might indicate, because the pace was honest. She put away some pace players and just got run down late.
Yeah, maybe moved too early there, especially off maybe the freshening forced the jockey Tyler Bacon, I believe who it was, for the first time. I think this filly's a couple of these. I think her best efforts are 5.5 furlongs. I think her best chance to win a race like this would be on the lead. I just don't see it happening. And Phil Bauer hasn't quite been where he has been the previous years coming into Saratoga. He's 16% with a 132 ROI over the last 6 months. So not to say I don't respect his horses coming in, but he hasn't been quite as white hot.
I think it's a good point. He's been a little quiet, but this is a barn that has woken up at Saratoga in the past, so we'll see if that's the case. The number 2, R Disaster, has really done very little wrong in her career. 9 starts. She's been in the exacta all of those times with 5 victories. And Scott, even when she loses races, she runs really well. But we'll take a look at her most recent victory when she was just beating an overmatched field in the Rehoboth Stakes at Delaware. Got an 89 buyer here. Looking through the charts of this day, and especially some of the horses that finished behind her, I think you could even make the case that number is a little bit conservative, but you go 2 and 3 back when she was narrowly beaten by Hall and Ice at Nick Style. Those are good horses. And even that race 3 back at Gulfstream, she got involved in a wicked pace that day and was still fighting on to the wire. If she gets loose up front, she could be tough to catch.
Without question, one of the ones to beat for sure, coming in. And, don't hold that loss to Hall and Ice in the vagrancy against her. She tried hard. That was her stablemate. I think that horse, that filly has won 4 in a row, if I'm not mistaken now. So Our Disaster, she's had favorable race shapes in her last couple of efforts. Maybe that's the one knock if you're looking to find one, other than maybe, not having run at Saratoga before. But Our Disaster coming in really good form and off the freshening for Safi.
There are also some bigger prices in this race coming in good form, and that's the case for the number 3, Zadorski, who's looking for her 3rd victory in a row. Now, I know she's only paired up 85 buyers in the last couple of races, Scott, but when you watch back the replays, she's been visually impressive in those races, especially that win at Keeneland 2 back where she made a middle move to take the race over. This is a big step up in class, but if the pace comes apart, maybe she's one that can pick up pieces.
Yeah, it's an interesting entry. And like I think the key here is a couple of things. The pace, she's going to be last, one would think, on the cutback to 6 furlongs. Even if it was further, she might be, and these last couple of efforts, she's won without even being asked, like you mentioned. They were both over and off track. So is she getting good? The blinkers maybe have made the difference for her, or is it more have to do with the off track? But yeah, this is a filly. I know her win here at Saratoga. She has the win in the 2 seconds over 3 starts was against restricted special weight foes, but she's been really pretty consistent, as you can see, 12 for 15 in her career, and wouldn't be surprised at all if she comes with a run.
Yeah, I think it's a good point about the wet tracks. All three of her top buyers have come on wet surfaces. The number 4, Sila, is really the key to this race. I mean, she's just been so consistent as of late, running against some of the best filly and mare sprinters in the country. Arguably was a little bit unlucky in the Breeders' Cup last year when she got a very wide trip. And Scott, she's just run into some really tough rivals and got me back as a 5-year-old, running into monster performances put forth by Copian at Churchill 2 back, and then here in the Bed of Roses when she was chasing home Ways and Means, who earned a 111 buyer in victory.
So is the clear one to beat in here without question, and the Derby City Distaff effort on May 3rd, maybe you give a little more credit to than it looks on paper. Copian, obviously super serious, Ways and Means finishing 3rd, but she was supposed to run at Keeneland before it and was scratched due to some sort of minor illness that maybe, made that race even more of a need for her. So, I don't know if I can bet her in this race, but obviously wouldn't be surprised at all if she comes running and runs me down.
Yeah, the cutback to 6 furlongs is an interesting handicapping angle for a lot of these horses because most of them have gone longer, focusing on the 7 furlong stakes and on most of their careers. Sila's gone even longer than that sometimes. She did win her debut going 6 furlongs. We'll see if she likes turning back at 5 as a 5-year-old mare. The number 5, Carmelina. I guess she's a horse that you might project to be a little bit more forward than she was on the pace projector, Scott, but you look at the last couple of races, the paces really haven't been that fast, and she's been forward against some inferior competition. I worry against a field of this quality, she might get outrun in the early stages.
That's how I see it as well, David. I think this is a filly that when she gets the lead against, a little bit softer competition than she makes in here, she can be very tough. But I feel like she's going to get caught in chase mode. You got Louis Saez aboard. I don't see him making any sort of effort to kind of sit off the pace. But if she's not fast enough, she could get caught in chase mode and be caught in that. And 2 efforts over this racetrack and 17 starts. And she has neither of those resulted in the money finishes.
The number 6, Little Prankster, is the other Phil Bauer entry in this race, and she did some nice things at Saratoga in the past, but that's going all the way back to 2023. She actually missed all of the 2024 season, spending a long time on the sidelines, and came back this year, probably needed that race on turf off the layoff. She did improve last time, but still remains to be seen if she's going to get as good as she was back 2 years ago.
Yeah, she came out of that. She was, I remember, I think it was that was Derby week, May 2nd at Churchill. Sweet Azteca won the maiden race. She was, I remember Little Prankster was the race. She went off the 2-1. Generous Lover, an Ohio bred that's won a lot of races. So to your point, this is a mare that has run some big races. I don't think she's at that level anymore in her career. I don't really give her much of a shot at all.
The number 7, Striker Has Dial, is a horse who posted some pretty big buyer speed figures over the winter at Aqueduct. Always like to take those with a grain of salt, given how deep and tiring that Aqueduct track can get in the winter sometimes. But she stepped up against Stakes Company last time in that ski pad. We'll take a look at the replay of that race and was beaten by a pretty good horse in Zeitlos, who's run well against graded Stakes Company in the past. And Striker Has Dial did progress a little bit from a buyer speed figure standpoint, but it's not like she was disgraced in this defeat.
No, not at all. She's been, moving forward pretty consistently here. I guess she would be the one if I was, to guess. Probably not fast enough, but I think they're going to hope that she is. She gets out of the gate well. She's got Kendrick Carmouche back aboard. I guess if I was all in on Our Disaster, she would be the one maybe that has the best chance of pressing. That said, I think Kendrick might be very content to just sit off.
The number 8, Benardetta, comes in from Kentucky for Steve Asmussen, and she's kept some pretty good company recently. She chased home Copian 2 back in the Derby City Distaff, was just overmatched in that race, but she actually ran pretty well against some tough rivals in the winning colors last time, splitting 2 Sharp, who is probably one of the top sprinters in the country when she's on her game, and Hope Road going out for the Baffert stable. That was the best effort that Benadetta's put forth in a while, and she's another one where if the pace heats up, maybe she can be running on at the end.
Yeah, that's what I think you have to hope for if you like Benedetta. Maybe in that third place, underneath in the tries and supers. She kind of had things her way in the winning colors. 2 Sharp, just kind of speed burn them. She was much the best, and Benedetta kind of took advantage. One thing I will say, no disrespect to Keith Asmussen, but this is a rider upgrade of Dylan Davis, and like you said, if they go fast up front, I think Benedetta will have a chance to hit the board, but it all depends on the race shape.
And Scott, I think one of the toughest calls in the race is the number 9, Jods Pride. She was also in that replay that we showed for Sila of the Bed of Roses last time, and she finished far behind not just Ways and Means, but also Sila in that spot. Not the best effort for Jods Pride, but we do know that she's capable of posting the kind of speed figures and performances that could win a race like this. I mean, she did a 2-back in the Ruffian where she did get a very good trip, but she still beat some nice horses with a really impressive turn of foot coming off the far turn there. She's another one, though, that's going to be cutting back to the 6 furlongs for the first time in a long time. And I'm wondering how you view that.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think I'm going to try to take it as a positive because I think last time out, she, it wasn't a terrible trip by any means, but she was in tight a little bit between horses. And now she's going to move to a more favorable outside draw. It'll give her, a less stress-free trip theoretically. She breaks well. She could get a pretty good trip. And she does have the foundation of a 7 furlong and 1 mile race. So, if they don't go crazy up front, I think she could fall into the right place. She's run well over this surface. And like you said, she hasn't been ultra consistent, David, and maybe a little disappointing to some, but she definitely has good races in her and good enough to probably win this.
Let's go to picks for this race. And Scott, I see you're going to put the number 9 Jods Pride on top. And she's a tough one for me because I feel like I'm always off her when she runs well. And then I'm on her when she runs poorly. So I can't catch her at the right time. We'll see if she bounces back here.
Yeah, it concerns me. You've seen more of her probably than I have, and you're not on her. But knowing that, I feel a little bit more comfortable if she's one of your nemesis. I just think hopefully she gets slightly overlooked. We get the morning line price. Obviously, you're the best in the biz at doing them. So I'll assume I'm going to get the 4-1 morning line or somewhere around it. And I think that's pretty fair value. You get the addition of Pratt this time around as well.
Yeah, and I put the speed, the number 2, our Disaster on top. I just have really liked some of the races that she's run and the pace she's been involved in. And I think she's a little quicker than her rivals here. And if she gets loose up front, going the 6 furlong distance, which really works for her, she could be tough to catch. So 2, 4, 3, 8 for me, and 9, 2, 4, 8 for Scott in the DRF Sunday race of the day, the grade 2 honorable miss. Good luck if you're playing the races this weekend.